o'clock weekly meeting on this lovely Thursday, March 6th. Please join me in a moment to reflect, pray, or think of those less fortunate than us, especially our friends in Ada. Thank you. Flag salute, we'll have Randy and Jamie Swain will give us the four-way test.
Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join in the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you. You may be seated. As Stephen Craig is getting around to our guests, I'm going to go ahead and give you the quote of the day. The quote of the day is, "The best and most beautiful things in this world cannot be seen or heard, but must be felt with the heart." Helen Keller. Jillian, there she is. Jillian? Yes? He's coming to you.
We have a return visitor, and if you want to introduce yourself to everybody, so that way you can hear that awesome Southeast Oklahoma accent.
Hi everyone, I'm Jill Bond. I was for many years a Rotarian, but where I was working the last 11 years in Missouri, the meeting times didn't work with my work schedule, so I lapsed. So it's exciting to be back at Rotary meetings, and I hope you all will take me back in.
Jamie has a guest.
Good morning. This is Crystal Levine. Crystal is one of my training coordinators at OU. She oversees logistics and coordination for 23 different classes with new child welfare specialists in the state of Oklahoma. So she's an asset to our team, and I'm so excited that she can join us today.
So from employee at OU to student at OU, this is Sonny, and we'll let him introduce himself and his reason for being here.
Hello, I'm Sonny Lee. I currently attend OU as a freshman, studying aerospace engineering. I'm here today because I'm a Hall Woman Scholarship recipient, and I do here required to attend 2 meetings. I've already been to the Southwest Rotary, so I've been here since I just finished classes, and might as well.
So those scholarships that we give out as well, other clubs do that, and Sonny is a result of that. So glad to have you here, Sonny. Rick has our student of the month.
Well, this is another great day because we have a new month of senior students of the month. So today we have 3, but we're only seeing 1 because Sullivan Ho apologized, but from Norman High. She won't be able to make it today, but next week. And then from Dimensions, Alyssa Witt has already graduated, much like one of our Dimensions students did a couple months ago. And that's great, but we don't get to meet them. So today we have Lindy Rex from Norman North. Lindy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name's Lindy. I'm a senior, so I graduate this May. I'm here with my parents, Dana and Greg. My mom works at the high school with me. She helps with the special needs students, and my dad, Greg, is vice president of construction for a company by the name of Ideal Homes. This fall, I plan to attend BYU and hope to get my undergrad in engineering and maybe end up in some sort of law. So, yeah, that's about it for me.
Welcome, and thank you for taking your time out of your busy day, parents, to come with her. We appreciate that as well. Lindy, when you're visiting, make sure you're going to different tables and meeting different Rotarians while you're here each week, okay? We look forward to getting to know you better. Now on to announcements. Liz McCallum, if you'll come up, please.
Hey guys, most of you probably know that the EF1 tornado hit Ada this, well, I don't know, a couple days ago. And one of my new acquaintances from Pets, thank you for sending me there, is the incoming president for the Ada Sunrise Club. And I texted her to see what our club could do. And their immediate needs are toiletries and monetary donations to feed. They're specifically focusing on the 24 people whose apartment complex is not livable at this point. So you can make monetary contributions today. Look, the basket is gonna come around. Or you can bring toiletries for the next couple of weeks. You can also drop them by the standard, and we can make sure we get those picked up. Or you can call me or Liz, and we'll come get them from you. So thank you in advance for helping support our Ada Sunrise Club and their efforts to help their community.
I did get the email out a little late today, so we know if you couldn't get it, that's why we're trying to give you all the opportunities to still get us stuff to be able to take down to them. Put money in your baskets if you have any on you today, or feel free to contact one of us, or like we said, you can drop them off at the standard. I really appreciate Liz McCallum for reaching out and getting this started for our club. We really want to support them and be there for our neighboring communities as well. Speaking of that, you've seen a few slides on the slideshow today about pets. I'm wearing a green shirt that's also in the picture from Pets, but I want to wear it because Liz McCallum also got these shirts for myself, Jamie, and herself to be represented well down there, and we stood out. Trust me, we were hard to miss. We also had pink shirts; they were really cute. We had a great time learning. There was a lot to learn, and we have a lot to inform you about. We'll update them. Perfect timing right there. We also met the president-elect, Mario, who was really wonderful. Ron Burton spoke to the district on Sunday. Unfortunately, our group had to miss that. We're really sorry. I did tell him why, but I had to cook on Sunday, and we all three rode together. But we networked all the way back, talking all about Rotary and what we can do to improve our club. So I hope we get a forgiveness on that one, Ron. Sorry about that. We did have great representation as a district there as well, and a lot of great feedback and communication with other clubs, and we have a lot to present to you in the coming weeks and months. And I'm getting excited for Liz to take over as well, but I'm not that excited because I print out my agendas every single week and only needed 17 more, and I got kind of sad, so, because that means I only have 17 weeks left, so. With no further ado, I need to have Jenny Gifford come up to the front, please. Chew that before you get up here. I like to catch people off guard, you know? No kidding. More fun. So, one of my great pleasures this year is in having so many new members and having them participate in lots of our activities and be present and attend meetings and do lots of fun things with us, but also get to know our club members and how great it is to help out our community and for them to learn that about our club. With no further ado, she has graduated to a blue badge.
And it says Jenny. Yay.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Thank you for being such an active member of our club. We have several that are very close to their blue badges that are still wearing a red badge, so finish up some of those tasks on your list, and we look forward to giving you a blue badge as well. And now I'll turn it over to Lynn Weber to introduce our guest today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it's my honor and pleasure to introduce today my friend and colleague, David Nimmo. David has recently retired from Chickasaw Nation Industries, CNI. although he is officially retired, he has also been executive transition advisor for CNI and remains on the board for CNI. CNI is wholly owned by the Chickasaw Nation. It serves both federal and commercial customers in the fields of energy, technology, engineering, aviation, and professional services. With employees in 40 states and major offices in Norman, Arlington, Virginia, Rockville, Maryland, Mooresville, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. You can always find David out at the airport. He is active in the state and community, serving on boards and in leadership positions for the Norman Chamber of Commerce, the Board of Visitors for Sam Noble Museum, the Norman Regional Health Foundation, the Oklahoma State Chamber of Commerce, and he also serves as a member of the advisory board to the First United Bank. He's a member of the Oklahoma Business Roundtable, the Economic Club of Oklahoma, and a graduate of the Leadership Oklahoma class of 28. David is married to his high school sweetheart, and he has 2 sons and 4 grandchildren. And his wife, Carolyn Nimmo, was my stepdaughter's 6th grade teacher for physical education. So we have known Carolyn Nimmo for 50 years. And David, congratulations on your Norman Rotary anniversary, 6-year anniversary. So we're happy to welcome David back and hope that we will see him more frequently at Rotary luncheons. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Lynn. Probably the most important thing is my 6-year anniversary, and it's probably the last time most of you saw me. I actually started in Ada in Rotary, and it was very influential on my life. So I want to make sure our high school students who are involved with us as guests for the next month, when you get out and get ready to start your careers, get in a Rotary Club, because it will impact your business life and your personal life significantly. I can tell you the 4-way test is something I've always used, and you'll see in a moment our core values that we use and how they align with the 4-way test. So I was very fortunate to have been invited as a young professional in Ada, and it has totally been an important thing in my life. So now that I'm retired, I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to up my attendance a little bit. Thank goodness Rotary kind of softened their views on attendance, or I wouldn't be in front of you today. So, Chickasaw Nation Industries, what is that? You know, the tribe in the late 1990s were already starting in their gaming activity. They had the opportunity to do that by federal law, and I will tell you, in the early days, it was a tough decision for them to even do that. I don't know if you realize the Native American tribes, and Chickasaws in particular, because that's one I know so well, very religious. They start every meeting with prayer, committee meetings, legislative meetings, whatever meeting it is, any leadership meeting. Very strong Methodist primarily, because in the early days of this country, the Methodist missionaries came through southeastern United States, where they were at the time before removal, and converted them. And they have held on to that. So the idea of gaming was just really, really hard for them, and the legislature really struggled with that whole decision. But they had gotten into it, and it was beginning to show some promise for their future. But they recognized that over the 200-year plus history of the Indian tribes with federal government, policy changes. It sometimes for the better, but sometimes for the worse. But very often, when things seem to be going pretty well, it does change for the worse. So recognizing that they were dependent in this business on a federal law or policy that allowed them to do it, they also recognized that could go away with the stroke of a pen. We're seeing some of that right now, aren't we, with things changing so rapidly, because it can. It truly can happen. So they recognized they needed to have something that would mitigate the risk of losing that business opportunity that they had, and that was the birth of Chickasaw Nation Industries. We were there to be an alternative to the gaming revenues that they believed that they would begin to enjoy. So that was in the late 1990s. They really didn't know what to do with it. Governor Anatoly was the governor. I was actually supporting him as an attorney at the time, helped them create the company. He had seen some other tribes that created some business entities like this, and they kind of got off into left field, embarrassed the tribe, maybe did some things that wasn't right. So he wanted to control it, but the way the government structure is set up, he didn't have control of it. So one of my first jobs was to create a little bit of an agreement that would allow him to be able to gain some control just through the flow of funds. So he would provide the resources, and the company would pay it back pretty quickly. As he got comfortable with it, we broke loose from that, and since the early 2000s, the company has been very autonomous. In fact, the tribe, although the governor appoints the board of directors and the legislature confirms that board, after that, the board runs the company. It's very much segregated from the government of the Chickasaw Nation and even the other business structures within the nation. So, gonna do something? Nope. That's all right. I'm good. Talk myself right out of it. So, we were chartered as a federal entity that, under federal law, what was happening is Native America, because they're sovereign, quick legal lesson on sovereignty, it is what a city, county, state, federal government has, sovereignty. You can't sue them unless they give you permission. So you've probably heard of Tort Claims Act. All that is government giving you permission to sue them, which you have to have, or you can't do it. Tribes were the same. They had this sovereignty issue. Well, they didn't have taxpayers paying resources in to run their government, so they needed to do business. But how do you do business with a bank or anyone else if they feel like they can't get redress if you don't fulfill your obligations? And so they weren't able to do much at all. It was a challenge for them. So the policymakers at the time in the federal government said, all right, we get it. We understand your governments are having a hard time. The only way you could really waive sovereignty would be to pledge your government assets, your hospitals and things like that. Well, they didn't want to do that and lose their ability to serve their citizens with health care and so forth. So they allowed them to go back into the same law that allowed the tribes to recreate themselves in the 70s as governments and create an economic development business. And that business would be couched with the same privileges as the tribe, federal income tax exempt, which is nice, and sovereign, but with the ability to waive sovereignty to the assets pledged to support the waiver. Obviously, we wouldn't pledge the tribe's assets. We would only pledge those that the business created and developed. So that's the source of what we were. When we started, we had the same issues that the tribe had. We were sovereign, and so banks weren't comfortable yet. They would be if we waived sovereignty and gave them assets. We just didn't have any assets. The tribe had given us a $50,000 startup grant. That's the only money Chickasaw Nation has ever provided to this company. Was that very initial sort of startup grant. So we had a challenge. We learned that the 8A program in the Small Business Administration federal government had some advantages for us if we got into federal contracting, but we didn't have any experience in government contracting. We didn't have any past performance, which is really important in government contracting. And our management team really just didn't know how to run a government contract. And we didn't have any money. So how do you go from there to what we achieved last year, which was about real close to $500 million in sales? Not easy. We found a gentleman us his past performance, that would give us his management team. And we told him, although we're gonna pay you and you're gonna own our finances, because we can't go to a bank that won't loan us any money, you're gonna have to loan us the money to buy you. We will pay you back, but you're gonna have to take second position, because as soon as we buy you, we're gonna take your accounts receivable and pledge them to the bank to get an operating line of credit to be able to operate. He did it, and I'm gonna tell you, it was great for him. He made so much more money than he would have made on a normal sort of sale of a company like his on a multiple of EBITDA. And it worked for us because it gave us everything we needed to jump in to the world of federal contracting. So we were created, our purpose, as I said, was to mitigate the risk, but we want to support the tribe. That's what our mission is. As you all probably heard many times, Governor Anatoly always says his mission is to enhance the overall quality of life of the Chickasaw people, and ours is to provide resources to him for that purpose. Now, I will tell you, because they have been successful in their gaming operations and doing well there, they have allowed us, although they didn't give us anything other than that $50,000 initially, what they have allowed us to do is keep our retained earnings. And what that's let us do is grow and build our business over time. But all of these things, we do give a dividend annually to the tribe, and they use it for these purposes in supporting their citizens. This is the operating principles we use, our core values that we use, which I will tell you, I helped craft these because coming back when I became CEO, I use the acronym CREATES integrity, because C is for commitment to success, respect, empowerment, accountability, and the accountability that we talk about is self-accountability. It's not a stick that we use to hold people accountable. You are expected to hold yourself accountable for your responsibilities. And then teamwork, you're also supposed to help anyone you see that needs help. That's a part of your accountability too. And then service, we are a servant leader organization, and that is our culture, and it is taken very well throughout that. And I think it's very consistent with the tribe itself. All of that creates integrity, or the reality that we do what we say we're going to do. These are some of our customers. We have about 30 federal agencies that we support. These are just a few of them. And you can see it's across the board, from the Department of Defense to Department of Agriculture, Justice Department, many. We do a lot with FAA up here, so that's one of the listed organizations there. We do a lot with Food and Drug Administration through the Centers for Disease Control and Health and Human Services. I'll talk about in a moment. So how do we structure ourselves, and what do we do? Here in Norman is our corporate headquarters, and that's our back office. So we use a shared service model. Our work is in 49 states. Basically, we are where the government is, and because we have so much work, 1,237 contracts, and you can see $2 billion worth of contract awards since 2020. So we process a lot of work, and what you will learn in government contracting is it's not a high margin business. You may hear that $8,000 toilet or whatever you've heard over the years that is out there, but that's just not reality. What reality is, it's about a 4% business. It's about a 4% margin business. So you can't make too many mistakes with that level of margin in your business. We do a little better than that, frankly, and part of that is because we're in the small business 8A program that gives us the ability to negotiate our pricing instead of compete for work with people like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, et cetera. It's pretty hard to beat those cats. And that's part of this program, is to allow entities like us to be able to do it in a different way that allows us to get work. Otherwise, we have a hard time breaking into the federal marketplace. So this, on the left there, or maybe you're, yeah, on the left, that's our home office. We do all our HR, legal, our accounting, payroll, benefits, all of that work is done here in Norman, and we support all of our operating people who are elsewhere. We do that with about 120 people here in Norman, supporting, it vacillates between right now, this slide has 1,642 employees. It goes from there to 2,200, vacillates back and forth depending on contract work that comes and goes as we get or finish government contracting sort of work. We have lots of certifications, which is necessary in order to get the work from the federal government. They expect you to be the best quality you can be. So these are the sort of business lines that we try to do: technology, infrastructure, do a lot of health, transportation, et cetera. So what do we do in the technology area? We design, develop, and implement government IT systems that enable agencies to realize their operational effectiveness. The reality is, industry is ahead of the federal government typically, probably from capital investments and the ability to make capital investments in part. But what they are trying to do is always modernize. They're always trying to bring in the newest tools and the newest software packages and so forth, but they need help identifying those, deciding which ones to use, getting them implemented, and getting them done. We do an awful lot of that. We're certainly into the AI and ML at this point, as is everybody. You just have to be, because it's the new hot item, so you got to be there. Now, do we know anything about AI? No, of course not. And so what you have to do when you do this breadth of work, I oftentimes say that we're a mile wide and an inch deep sometimes, because we do whatever the government needs us to do. Partnerships are very important, and we do a lot of partnering with large, capable companies with specific talents, and so we'll go in as a team to offer the government a solution, and our job is to make sure we've got everybody on the team that we need to be on the team to be able to provide everything that they need. Infrastructure and engineering is similar. An example of that work we did, we wired the entire Smithsonian, nearly every museum in the Smithsonian, we have done the wiring. The infrastructure for IT support and so forth. Been doing that for quite a while, modernizing all of that. So there is some engineering associated with that, some construction, but a lot of IT development. Business services are an area where my successor, a gentleman named Eduardo Marquez, came out of Health and Human Services. He was a fast rising SEC, which is the general equivalent in the civilian services. And he was very, very talented in Health and Human Services and in HR work in support of that. So we get a lot of work in the business services area with a lot of the different agencies. Consulting is another area where we do a lot of workforce planning, strategic planning. We help them acquire, develop their acquisition systems and so forth. On the health side, a great example of work that we did in the IT field to support health, the Food and Drug Administration were having difficulty with information flow into them around adverse incidents associated with drugs, because the information would come in from doctors, from patients, from clinics, hospitals, all sorts of different locations, and it would come in different formats. And so they couldn't ever really understand the scope of what was going on with a particular drug. People were dying because they weren't getting the information, the understanding quickly enough to be able to help the people. So we were able to go in, and we went in behind a couple of very, very large, successful companies who were unable to solve this problem that they had, and we were able to solve it. We are literally saving lives by the fact that we developed a adverse incident system that allows all of this exciting work for us to have achieved that. Transportation, do a lot of work with Mike Monroney Center out here. Interesting areas of work. The system has been in existence for many, many years, since flight, and it has a lot of navigation, communication instruments out there. And the old joke at FAA is they buy new equipment, they just don't get rid of the old. And so they have all of this, some of it tubes, you know, they got transistors out there. Well, somebody's got to know how to work on that stuff. Well, nobody today knows how to work on that equipment that was built and designed back in the 40s. So our contract is to train people to be able to work on all these different sorts of tools and instruments that exist out there in the never world. So we have to have a piece of everything, and that's all housed up at Mike Monroney Center. And we do training to help people be able to maintain the system and provide safety for folks that are traveling in our system, sometimes with really old equipment. We do have a commercial leg. It is not nearly as big as our federal. We do have a manufacturing plant in Marietta, Oklahoma. This is Filter Systems, is in Michigan. It's an acquisition we did a few years back, 2016. A very interesting company. They do filtration of all sorts of fluids. Right now, the hot item is PFAS, and that is that permanent bad drug that's causing cancer in people. And the problem with PFAS is once it gets in your system, it doesn't go away. Your system can't get rid of it, and it accumulates over time. And they found that this chemical exists in a lot of water systems around the country, and obviously they need to get that fixed. Well, we developed a mobile unit that can actually get the PFAS out of whatever fluid it's in, typically water, down way below the minimums that EPA requires. So really a neat product that they developed. It actually is a conversion of a product they did for the oil and gas field out here in Oklahoma, where fracking fluids were having to be taken and deposited or gotten rid of. We clean that fluid and allow it to be reutilized, thus reducing significantly the water use that occurred. We use that same system to develop this PFAS problem. So interesting work that they do. Got like 50 patents, and they've got a manufacturing facility in Tennessee, and a little bit of operation up in Michigan. C&I manufacturing is here in Marietta, Oklahoma. It's a cut bin weld shop, and it was challenging for it to stay alive. It was owned by Siemens Dematic, which is out of Rapid City, Michigan, or Grand Rapids, Michigan, and they used it as a cost shop. So they had engineers and product and things that they developed in Michigan, and they sent that down to Marietta to be built down here and shipped. So it's just a cost center for them. Then Vice President went through, overbuilt, and start closing down shops. Well, Marietta was one of the older shops, so they're closing down. We had a tribal legislator in Marietta that said, Governor, they're closing this shop. It employs a lot of people. For Marietta, it's very destructive. Is there anything you can do? He called us. We bought it. And we've been operating it ever since. And that filter acquisition was in part to create some synergy between their engineers and product and market that they had in our operation. So one last company that I want to talk about is really an exciting company, and then I'll close down for questions. Corbett Technology is a missile defense company. We acquired this company in 2015. It was doing about $25 million in sales when we acquired it. It is now doing over $200 million in sales. That's outside of our 450, so that's in addition to what we do on the inside here. A gentleman named David Robinson runs that, does some amazing stuff. A lot of the work they do, I can't even know, even though I've got a top secret clearance. I don't have a need to know, so I don't know. But I can tell you, we have a remarkably capable defense system. I will tell you defensive systems and test and evaluation systems to make sure our defense systems can, so they'll build targets for our defense system to test, make sure that we can intercept. Most recently, we got a hypersonic contract because we, as you all may know, we don't have hypersonic capability yet where China and Russia do. We're trying to develop that. We have gotten the contract to develop the targets for use in developing our hypersonic defense system. So exciting work that we're doing there. And I believe that is it for what we're doing. So I'm opening it up for questions. Yes, sir.
Could you explain what exactly you say we are working with? To take the example of the disease control, are those people your employees that are doing that, or are you finding consulting them?
No, we do. There are our employees now. Yes.
They're your employees.
Yeah, there are employees, yeah. Yep, and
David, what was the first product company that you purchased? What was that product?
he was at FAA, named Greg Wadley. You may have seen the tennis center here at OU, the Greg Wadley Tennis Center. When we paid him off, he did really well. The tennis center got some of that money, I think. But Greg had a broadly structured business, so he offered a lot of different services, but primarily to FAA in Oklahoma City.
You mentioned how much money your CNI is making now. Heard intimations about maybe sharing down with BIA. Are y'all financially secure enough now to stand on your own feet if the government closes the BIA?
We work, I'll tell you, it's been an issue for me since starting in 2011 as the CEO, and that is mitigating our risk. The tribe mitigates its gaming risk with us. We need to mitigate our risk because we too are a public policy sort of company where we have some benefits under the Small Business Aid program that allow us to do this negotiated contract. If that goes away, which it could, what do we have and will we be successful without it? So we're constantly, as part of the why we went into some commercial activity to diversify our portfolio, and we also work all the time learning how to be better at competing, even if we've got to compete with Rockford along with Boeing or whoever. So we do a lot of partnering with Boeing and Lockheed Martin and some of those companies, but at some point we're going to have to compete, and we've just got to learn how to do that.
First of all, I want to say, wow, wow, wow. I'm so impressed. Are there any other tribes in the country that are doing anything like this?
There are others. The Cherokees are doing pretty well. The Choctaws also. The larger tribes seem to be able to do it a little better. We help a lot with smaller tribes. I help the Comanches get their first 8A company. I help the Osage understand how they might do that. Osage had been burned by a business activity, and so they were kind of concerned about how to do it. So we do that to try and help the smaller tribes. It's just challenging sometimes for them to have the scope and scale to be able to really take advantage of some of these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We really appreciate the update on CNI and what y'all have been doing. Thank you very much. We hope to see you again on a more regular basis now, maybe. Thank you again for coming, Jill. Crystal, thanks for coming with Jamie today. Hope you enjoyed the meeting. Sonny, we hope to see you again, not just your mandatory 2 meetings, but maybe more. Lindy and your parents, thank you for coming and making time for today. We hope you enjoyed the meeting as well. Steve Woods, you want to?
Yeah, I've had a number of people text me that they wanted to write a check for Greg and Sunrise. We'll write one check from the club to the other club. So if you want, you can mail a check in, just make a note on it that it's for that. Or if you want to pay online, again, when you pay online, just make the note in the comment section, that's what it's for. We'll go over that up in a couple of weeks and write one check and mail it to
coffee bean.